Alright, hey everybody, welcome to the channel. So, I am learning how to use Tier Maker, and I thought I would start with the Persona 3, 4, and 5 characters. I am very passionate about Persona, it's one of my favorite game series, and all these characters, so I thought this would be a fun way to kind of mess around with this and just have some fun. That being said, every character I rate on here is purely my opinion. You can completely disagree, and that doesn't make either of us right or wrong. It's just, it's supposed to be a fun video. If you really disagree, tell me why, and maybe I'll change my mind. But I'm going to start with the way they have it here. Also, I am recording this before Persona 3 Reload comes out, so some of my rankings of the Persona 3 characters might change after that game. Maybe I'll redo the list. We'll see how it goes. So let's start it off. We're going to start with the Persona 3 Pro Tag, and I feel it's very difficult to evaluate the protagonists. They're not meant to be their own character so much as a reflection of you, the player, and, the decisions are limited, but they're still supposed to be your decisions, yada, yada, yada. They don't have much of a personality. Some things that happen throughout the story, obviously they have to do something that the player doesn't have full control over, so you get a little bit of a taste. Some of their personality gleams through, but for the most part, they're kind of, the tabula rasa. They're not supposed to have one. So it is difficult to judge them based on that. For Persona 3, I'm just going to say that, of the three protagonists, he is obviously supposed to be the strongest one with his abilities, just based on what happens in that game, the story, and, his role. I don't want to say more than that just for spoilers. Uh, but he's also, of the three of them, my least favorite. I think only because Persona 3 was my least favorite overall. Hopefully that will change with Persona 3 Reload. I'll connect better with the characters, but, all in all, it's very difficult to judge. I'm going to give him an A, as he is the strongest of the pro tags. Here we go with the FemC from Persona 3 Portable, which is why I have this last row here, and I don't know, because she is one of the few characters I haven't played. I haven't played Persona 3 Portable. I've actually only played Persona 3 Fez at this point until Reload comes out, so I'm not going to judge her purely based on her character design, which I enjoy, but that's not enough. I don't want to put her on the list. Okay, and then we get to Yukari here. I think Yukari is a unique case because I feel like a lot of people don't like her, and I understand that because when I started the game, I couldn't stand her. She was very abrasive. She was definitely my least favorite character from Persona 3. That being said, I think she had the most character development and the best story arc in the game for any of the characters, so she grew on me quite a bit. I really enjoyed her character by the end. That was a very nice moment for Persona 3 to be able to take a character and, make whoever it is, start off not so likable and completely change that the more you get to know them. I think that was kind of a telltale sign about what Atlus was able to do with storytelling. So that was nice. On the flip side, in terms of combat, I didn't use her a whole lot. I was not a fan of the bow and arrow. I felt like its proc rate was a lot lower and just frustrating. Persona 3, I gotta be honest with you guys, I was not a fan of the combat. I think that was one of the biggest deterrents for that game for me. And I think that kind of has a detrimental effect on, how much I use some of the characters. So because of all that, I'm gonna give her a, a B. She grew so much, I almost want to put her in A, but because I really didn't want to use her in the actual Tartarus in the combat portion of the game, I'm going to stick her in B for now. Alright, so we're moving on to Junpei. I've got to tell you guys, I love the best friend sidekick buddy characters in the games. I think they're really well done. I don't think every character needs to be serious and, hyper focused on the mission. Like, these are teenagers after all. They should all differentiate in personality and, focus on how serious the situation is. I think he was a good person. I also liked his story arc with Chidori and, what he went through. In terms of combat, he was awesome. I mean, he's an awesome tank. I felt like he was super useful. dependable in battle. Hopefully, even more so with Reload. I hate to keep saying, you know, with a caveat with Reload on all the Persona 3 characters, but at this point, that's where we're at. I think they all have a lot of room for improvement. But yeah, I'm actually gonna stick him in A. I think he was my favorite character, pretty much, except for one other, but we'll get there. Okay, here's Mitsuru. Now, I'll start off with the positives, so nobody gets upset. I thought Mitsuru was a cool character. I like her design a lot, and I respect the fact that she was that type of character um, that is just, you know, like super strong-willed and mature and determined, and you know, is gonna be in charge and not screwing around, blah blah blah. And so that was great. You know, pretty much like the opposite of Junpei, which is awesome. You don't want the characters to all be the same and be like, oh yeah, we're all this, you know, we all get along perfectly, and let's just go do it. No, it was nice to have, you know, a different type of character. That being said, once again, combat just killed her for me. I felt like she was completely useless. I don't know about if that's too harsh, but I hated her in combat. You know, because in Persona 3, Fez, at least, you don't have, you know, control of their actions. You can kind of set, um, you know, what you want their focus to be, but you can't control them. And she casts this ability called Marin Karen all the time, which is kind of useless, and it doesn't hit very often at all. And it drove me nuts to the point where I never used her. I mean, I stopped using her very quickly because I just, man, I'm trying to think the nice ways to say this. I just did not enjoy using her at all in combat, and I stopped. The story progression, having the story was wonderful, you know, part of the team, fine. But, no, I just couldn't stand her in combat, so I gotta give her a C, guys. Sorry. Maybe, no, I'm not sorry. I just, just don't be mad if you disagree. So Akihiko, I thought he was awesome. I love that he, you know, was a more serious type character than Junpei. So the guys aren't all the same, but, um, you know, once again, he was useful in combat. I liked him. I didn't like him as much as Junpei. He didn't have as much development as in the role to me. I know he's more involved with Ken later on as like a big brother figure because of things that happen, what I won't spoil. But yeah, he was a great character. I'm just not. He was kind of like one of those super dependable. Like he's there, but he's not like top tier at all. So I'm gonna give him a B. I did love him, but B. Okay, Fuka. So here's the first of the 3 navigated characters. Once again, how do you judge? I mean, it's hard to judge them the same way. They don't fight in combat. She's a perfectly useful navigator. They all are. They all serve a great purpose in their, you know, respective games. They're not. I don't think any of them are stronger or weaker in terms of the navigation role. I think she just, like, the reason, if anything, she's not as useful is it's the mechanics weren't as developed in Persona 3 as the next 2. But I had no problem with her. I liked her introduction to the team, how she got involved. And I like that she's not as strong or as brave as the other characters, and that she's more of, you know, someone they have to look out for and defend. And, you know, I just liked her role in the game a lot. I had no issues with her. Like, I remember hearing people say things, you know, that they didn't like her or enjoy her as much as the character before I played it. And then I played the game and I was like, no, I have no issues with her whatsoever. So I'm going to stick her in B. So I guess here we go. She, I mean, awesome character. I have nothing bad to say about Aigis. I don't know why they tried to make her the mascot for the game instead of Koromaru. Like, you have an awesome dog. Why? Like, he was perfect. So that aside, that's like a side note. It doesn't really matter. Her character's awesome. Obviously, you know, her origin, where she comes from. I kind of wish they would explore that more. Like, yes, so each of the 3 Persona games, there's these teenagers that develop powers, but apparently there's also government entities or corporate entities that know about the, you know, demon world and however it manifests, and they are, you know, at least to some degree trying to figure out how to combat it, and I guess is a, you know, product of that endeavor. And I wish they would explore that more in a game. That would be awesome if, you know, the wider world of, you know, what's going on with the veil between worlds. Anyways, she's super useful in combat, very strong, obviously. I think she's like top tier for that. And then in terms of design, I think she's awesome. I love the shoulders and the hips are have that kind of like Art Deco or like steampunk vibe to it with the the metal design. I just love the character a lot. I think she's awesome. I'm gonna put her in S tier. I think she's gonna be the only Persona 3, but yeah, she's fantastic. Uh, so here we go with Shinjiro, and it's really hard to talk about him without spoilers. I really enjoyed what we got to know about him, his story, how he's involved with Ken, and him and his Akihiko's relationship, and his relationship with the Seas, with the group. Very well done. Just don't want to say too much more than that without doing spoilers for the game. Got it. I mean, he was strong too. So I actually didn't think about where I was going to put him as I was talking about him. I'm torn between A and B, but because I think I'm going to push him over an A just a little bit, only because of the impact that he has on the story. I think is really important. All right, so Ken. I don't know why everyone hates on Ken. I know he's a little kid. I don't like the shorts, but I like the hoodie underneath the jacket, and I like his long spear. I thought he was useful in combat. I actually ended up using him. He was one of the ones I subbed in and out, about the same as much as I would sub in and out a couple of the other characters. So I had no problems with them. I don't like the shorts with the his school uniform design so much, but I mean that's a minor gripe. I guess I don't hate it. I just don't really like it. And he's useful. Maybe a little annoying, but I don't even want to use that as a negative. He's a little kid. Like, he's coming from a different place, especially with what he's gone through. So it didn't bother me. I don't think that every character shouldn't be annoying. I think you need to have a couple characters that are harder to be around. It kind of makes you appreciate the other characters more. But he filled his role very well. So I'm going to give him a B. I didn't mind him. Koromaru, I absolutely love. He's a fantastic dog. Best boy. How can you not like him? He's a good party member. The only thing is, the physical attacks were okay, and he does the dark spells, which if you're going up against an enemy that's weak to dark, he's fantastic. There's, always a series of floors where the enemies, I felt at least had like the same type of weaknesses, at least for the majority of them. And he, anytime you got to a dark floor, I threw him in the party right away. That being said, he's a dog. You can take him for walks at night, but you don't really develop much of a relationship with him. But he's a dog, so dogs automatically, have to be A tier. I don't know. That's where I'm gonna stick him. Okay, I don't remember her name because I didn't look stuff up before I did this. I'm gonna put her in the I don't know though, because I know she's from The Answer or from the fighting game, and I didn't do either of those. I like her design a lot too, just same as Aigis, but I don't know anything about her. In fact, to the point where I'm not even sure that her name is Metis. I think that's what it is. But anyways, I'm gonna stick her down here. Okay, moving on to Yu, our protag from Persona 4. Once again, he's not supposed to have his own personality. He's supposed to be a player. I don't know what else to say about that. His character design is fine, except for I feel like his hair makes him look like an old man compared to the rest of the group. But it is different, and I like his high collars. That's very stylistic. And what else do you say about that? I'm going to put all the pro tags probably up in near the top. I feel like he's on par. He's not nearly as strong as P3 pro tag, but whatever. I don't care. I'm going to stick him there. Okay. All right, here we go with Yosuke. And once again, he's the buddy character. I think even better done than Junpei, but we're also talking about a future game that they've had more time to develop. And the jump to Persona 4 from 3, in terms of how much more they did with social links, you don't even get a social link with Junpei, which is something I'm looking forward to a lot in Persona 3 Reload. Once again, sorry to sound like a, being a dead horse here, but the fact that in Persona 4 you can have the outside social links with all of the characters, I think helps improve them a lot, and the fact that they're controllable in battle. Anyways, Yosuke was absolutely fantastic, and I loved him. So I'm gonna stick him up with A with the pro tag. He was fantastic. I mean, he was integral to the story. Working, at his dad's place where they all gathered for their hideout, where they, use the TVs. He's, always there once again, but he's not like the genius of the group. But highly dedicated and cares about them and is a good person. So he's going up there. Okay, here we go with Chie. I will say, before I started the game, just based off of just the pictures, I'm like, oh, Chie looks very different, very sporty than the other girls in the game. I think I'm going to romance her. And then I started playing, and I gotta say, she of the Seas, or Special Investigation Unit. Man, she is my least favorite of the team. I don't hate her, but I felt like she was so much more abrasive than the other characters, and I was not as interested in her story arc. Man, I just don't know. I just didn't connect with her at all, and very quickly I decided not to romance this character. She wasn't for me. And also, to her, in terms of combat, she was strong, but you get other stronger characters in a way. And I just didn't ever really use her. In fact, by the time I beat the game, a couple of them that I stopped using, she was one of the first ones in combat, so she was much lower level, and I just didn't utilize her. I'm going to actually put her in D. She was the only one on the team I really didn't like her personality. I hope they change it somewhat in the Reload. Or sorry, not even Reload. She's not even that. And if they ever do a remake for that one, I mean, because I just did not connect with her. Okay, Yukiko. So she was the one I decided I was going to romance after I dropped Chie. The one thing about her that just drives me absolutely nuts, because I just did not, to me it didn't connect with the character, was when something funny, I'm doing air quotes here, was supposed to happen, and she did that really obnoxious laugh and like wouldn't stop. I was like, what? She was like a more serious character, and then that kind of came out of nowhere. I don't know if they were trying to show like a softer side or lighter side of her, but that just kind of threw me off, and I didn't like it. But besides that, she was my number one healer. Once I got her going in the game, she was on my party the whole time. She's a phenomenal healer, super useful character. So I'm gonna stick her in B. That laugh, she would be an A if it wasn't for that laugh. I'm just saying that I couldn't deal with the laugh. So okay, Kanji. Kanji blew me away. What a phenomenal character. I thought Yosuke was gonna be my favorite male character in the game, but no, dude, Kanji. Everything about him, I loved his story. How uncomfortable he was with himself, and how that affected his outward appearance towards other people, like how other people perceived him. But deep down, how genuine and great of a guy he was, and also, I mean, phenomenal party member. Once again, he was in my party almost all the time. So I can't say enough good things about him. I don't think anything about the character I didn't like, so I'm actually sticking him up in S tier. Okay, so Rise was the one I actually ended up in the end romancing, only because it's maybe as aggressive as she was with the dating. It just seemed the most genuine in terms of, or most natural, I guess, in terms of relationships. And I did enjoy her story with, I don't know much about pop stars in Japan, but just about the way she explains it, how she, kind of feels trapped, but enjoys doing what she's doing, and kind of that inner turmoil, deciding what she wants to do, what she was going through. I thought it was a compelling story, especially compared to some of the other social link stories in the game. I didn't really have any issues with her. She was fine. So I'm actually gonna put her in B too. I'd almost give her an A, but I don't know. I just don't feel like she's ranks as high as some of these other characters. Oh my god, it's all A's, and in the all males in the A column. I didn't mean to do that on purpose, guys. That's just how it is. But yeah, she's close to an A. She's closer to an A than anyone else in this list. Maybe I'll switch it at the end because I don't want to have only guys. We'll see. Okay, Teddy. Once again, I think Teddy annoyed a lot of people because he was different in the team. He, had a different personality. I gotta say, I actually thought him when he was in like the boy, like shape form, whatever you want to call it, even in the Teddy form, how like pervy he was with the girls, I thought was actually kind of funny. I know some people hated it or just didn't enjoy that part, but I thought his role as that goofy like mascot or like outside character, much more than Morgana, which we'll get into. I felt like he just fit that creepy like kind of pervy role really well, but I don't know. I enjoyed his character. That being said, I didn't end up using him much in combat. I think with Yukiko, he just wasn't as necessary, at least for me. So I actually, believe it or not, I'm gonna give him a B. Which now I feel worse about putting Rise here because she's so much higher than Teddy, but still different ends. Okay, for now, this is it for now. Okay. So then we go. Oh my God, I'm gonna forget her name. Give me 1 second here. It's been a while since I played the game. Well, it's gonna come to me in a second. But once I got her in the team, there pretty much wasn't a reason to have like almost anyone else. She's so overpowered that it kind of for a while. I mean, you still have to like level her up, but she was phenomenal. Once I got her, she was in my team from the point she could join to the end of the game. She was in there the whole time. I loved her story arc. Oh my God. Okay, Naoto. Finally, it came to me. I'm like looking at the hat. I'm like, I know her name, Naoto. So I absolutely loved her character. I love the where she's coming from, her introduction to the team, just like the Protag being from out of town, being a special detective, and honestly, as somebody that played Persona 5 first and having Akachi's role as like the detective to go back and have somebody else as a detective, but a totally different personality, I thought was awesome. And I do really enjoy her relationship with Kanji. And which is why I could never do the dating with her because I felt like I was betraying Kanji. So I'm like, no, we're just friends. That's all we can ever be. But she was a absolutely phenomenal party member and great story. So I'm gonna stick her up with S2. Okay. Oh, now we're on to Persona 5. Great. So you guys, Persona 5, I probably have stronger feelings with, but I'm gonna try to keep my explanation for each character just as brief. I don't want to go overindulge into it. But I absolutely love Persona 5. So here we go. Persona 5 Protag. Once again, the character, I'm going to say the same thing I did for 3 and 4. They're not supposed to have personality. They're supposed to fill the role. Okay, fine. Where all of the characters from Persona 5 get a leg up is that when they enter the, in this case, the metaverse, or, whatever each game calls it something different. I just call it the demon world. They get their costumes to stay incognito so that they aren't, subconsciously remembered. And I think because of their costumes and how like awesome all the costumes look, they all kind of get a leg up in terms of aesthetics. I think Joker is one of the coolest looking protagonists in any game ever, including not just RPGs, but action games and fighting games ever. Any game. I love his character design a lot. And I think because of that alone, I'm going to rank him a little higher than the other two. I'm going to put him in S. That he's one of my favorite designs in the Phantom Thief Joker outfit. So yeah, that's where he's going to go. All right, Ryuji. Man, okay, so I've got Junpei and Yosuke in A tier. So I really want to stick Ryuji up in S, but I don't think he was necessarily any better of a best bro buddy type character than those two, but I absolutely loved him. I love that people kind of shit on him, and he took it in stride. He never lashed out or like, tried to put anyone else down. He's just who he was, and he, you know, didn't let it get to him. Whatever, what other people said. Uh, yeah, I don't know. He was phenomenal, and also too, I think one of the best Phantom Thief costumes. I love the metal skull mask and like the almost supposed to be like vertebrae going down the back of his jacket. Just a very like much more like hardcore, like aggressive looking costumes in the group, and he was phenomenal the whole time. He was a great best friend. Never betrayed anyone or did anything that would make you question him as a character. So yeah, solid A. So Morgana or Mona, I think once again, like just like Teddy, a lot of people hated on the character because he was so he didn't fit in. Well, he wasn't even a human, so I don't know why people didn't like him. I will say I don't think they handled the way he attacked Ryuji and interacted with some of the characters. I understand what they were trying to do with his character. I just don't think they executed it perfectly. And some of the things he does can be kind of annoying, or like I'm kind of looking at as like, oh, that's just like kind of a shitty move. But he also did get kind of crapped on a little bit and had to deal with his own things. And he was, I mean, not an easy position, not knowing who exactly you are or what you are. So it wasn't bad. I just think the execution with the character itself wasn't done well. But I love the cartoony look that he has when he goes into the metaverse, and the realistic cat look that he has in the real world, but he can still talk. I thought that was cool. I just think that the comic relief that Teddy, played in the role was so much more of just a nice little break than what Morgana provided. So I'm gonna rank him lower. I still do really like the character though. Like if I had 100 video game characters, these would all be like at the top compared. So I think C like makes it sound bad, but not bad at all. Just not as strong as some of the others. Okay. So once again, I don't know if it's a controversial character. I know some people had issue with her story arc and then the design of her Phantom Thief outfit. It didn't bother me at all. I loved it. I think she's one of the most standoutish characters in the costume, and I loved her personality. I liked that they didn't make the pretty blonde model a ditzy character that was one dimensional. I think she's deeply caring and fully invested in being part of the team, and also like her relationship with the other girl from volleyball and the coach and everything. Like a great start to the game. The first four characters we start with, I think it was just like a phenomenal start to the game, and she's actually my favorite female character from any of the Persona games. I just liked her a lot, so I'm actually gonna put her up in S. She also, I know some people didn't like her in combat. I used her all the time. I thought she was super reliable. Actually, all the P5 cast, I maxed out every single one of them. I thought like, it just depends on the circumstances of the battle, but they were all super useful. So it's hard to, pick one over the other in terms of that. Okay, here's Yusuke, not Yosuke, but Yusuke, and I gotta say, I love the character, but he's a little weird, and a little, I guess not sketchy, but questionable at times. Some of the things he says and does, but super useful in combat. And I actually did enjoy his costume. I guess if anything, it bothered me that the tail was on the side of his costume. Just in terms of symmetry, I wish it would have been in the back. But he had a cool mask, and I like his weapon. Maybe not, the costume wasn't as exciting as some of the others, but, really useful, and he was important. I mean, his dungeon that he's involved with was a very cool dungeon. He is a good character. His social link is, useful too. So he's solid. He just wasn't my favorite out of the group. So I'm gonna stick him in B. Okay, alright, so here we go. Not to, once again, upset too many people, but, okay, how to begin with her. So, Makoto. Makoto reminds me very much of my wife. She's very controlling and like, it has to be done a certain way, and there's no time for levity, and she's just, get shit done type of person. I just didn't need that as much in the game. Kind of like Mitsuru. She's just that, super in charge type of woman. Not my favorite. She super useful in combat. I think she's got the coolest persona in all the games. Like Joanna, you getting to ride around on a demon that's a motorcycle. Come on, or a persona, or whatever, on a motorcycle. I mean, I thought that was phenomenal. But just like in the game, also too, the dungeon she's most associated with, I think was like the loosest connection between a person and the main villain of that dungeon. She's just like, has a future in law enforcement, and he's a criminal, but I just thought that connection was kind of weak. And I know she's a lot of people's favorite female member, or what's the word for it that everyone, waifu. I just did not connect with her that way. I have that in real life. I don't need somebody in a game to boss me around. But once again, she is great. She just was not my fave. Okay, so Futaba, last of the three navigators. I think she's the youngest. And, once again, I really appreciate that she was a much different type of person than the other characters. She's much more insecure. She's dealing with, some issues when she gets introduced to the team. She's kind of like she was like a shut-in. So, very unique story that how she gets introduced. And her dungeon was awesome. I love the pyramid with her, they're fighting her, a version of her mother. And it was really well done. And she has a cool persona, the spaceship, but and she also has a costume, which is cool that they took the time to do that, because it's just not like you're fighting with her. But yeah, I have no complaints with her. I know some people thought she was too immature. She was too young for me to like do the dating thing with. Not that I'm a teenager, but at least in the game I'm a teenager, but it still felt like the age difference between Joker and her was like too much. So that wasn't an option for me, but I liked her a lot. So, once again, I don't know, I'm kind of torn. I like the fact that she was involved with the computer stuff too, in the real world. I actually like her the most of the three. I don't know where to put her. Okay, we're gonna put her here. I'm gonna put her in A. I almost want to put Rise there too, because I like them pretty much the same amount. Okay, Haru. Now this might be cheating a little bit, but I'm also going to include Strikers in this. I haven't played enough of Tactica yet, but in Strikers, well, first of all, she does get introduced fairly late in the story in Persona 5 Royal, or Persona 5. So yeah, you don't have as much time unless you purely devote all your free time to her social link, but I really thought it was cool that she was into, gardening and, down-to-earth stuff, even though she was like, rich and the daughter of a, CEO or business owner, and that she could have been a stuck-up, like, kind of fake person, but she really wasn't at all. I do enjoy her Phantom Thief costume. I thought it was pretty cool looking. I like her. She had the best looking gun, I think. That was pretty cool, the grenade launcher. But she obviously didn't have as much personality in Persona 5. In fact, I've seen videos where they said that it was kind of a shame that her introduction story arc was almost overshadowed by what was going on with Morgana at the time. And I can see that. I don't think completely it was, but I get where they're coming from. But anyways, in Persona 5 Strikers, oh my god, she's the best character. She has the best lines. Her kind of snarky, but very upfront and truthful personality came out a lot. And she was my favorite character in Strikers. which was, that was nice to see her elevated so much. So because of that, and you can consider it cheating if you want, but I'm sticking her in A too. She was great. Um, okay, Akechi throughout the whole game would be, I would say an A, except for, and I try to stay away from spoilers, but there might be a couple in this part. But um, in the third act, if you get to the new part for Royal, his voice acting alone. Well, first of all, I love his change in Phantom Thief outfit was, I think, made his costume one of the best ones. But his voice acting alone, oh my god, I thought it was phenomenal. Like, I didn't want him to leave the screen. I wanted him in every cutscene. His character, just like how much off the rails he goes, was one of my favorite things of the whole game. And that's, it's a long game, but he was phenomenal. So yeah, just because I got a big smile on my face just thinking about it. But yeah, he's getting an S because of the third semester trimester. Otherwise, he would be an A character. Very, the whole detective thing, and then the twist with Waffles and all that. Great character, great story arc, and who he really was great. But the third act really pushes him up into S tier for me. Okay, and then the last character is, the one that's unique to just the Royal game. And I did not have, like, any issues with her. I know some people didn't like her as much. But I just didn't think she was as memorable, I guess, as a way, like, especially for being a new character. The doctor that gets introduced, I think, was much more of an interesting character. I like that her costume reflects Joker's, like, in the female form, like she's supposed to be, like, kind of, I don't even know how to describe, like a reflection of him, somewhat, or the opposite. I just like that it was like kind of a reflection of his costume, but she wasn't like super memorable. Her story was great, and the last dungeon was phenomenal. But as a character, she was just okay. Like, she didn't really blow me away so much in terms of, like, I don't know, because I mean, she's strong, and her story of what happened is very interesting. But I guess you maybe because it is so much later, or she feels tagged on at some point. She just didn't feel as much as one of the Phantom Thieves as some of the others. I guess that's the best way to put it. She didn't feel as much as a group. So I am gonna just stick her in B only because of that. I have no issues with her. I just don't think she is as strong of a character as some of the others. So yeah, wow, there we go, guys. That is going to be the tier list for Persona 3 through 5 characters. Yeah, hopefully this works and I can get this on YouTube, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. I'll see you next time.